Hello, welcome to Fantasy Football Now. This is Will Benton with my coach Jack Hunter and Kai Miller. Today we're going to talk about everything from sleepers to top overall buy position. So Kai, let's start with you. Who are your top 3 wide receivers for the next year?
I think we got to go with Antonio Brown from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think we got to go with Odell from New York. And then I think we got to go with Julio. He's had some great seasons. And these are all very young players, but they're in their prime right now, and they're taking over the league.
Right, and all of them with good quarterbacks. So Jack, now back to you. In your drafting scheme, how would you differentiate between drafting in PPR leagues and the standard league?
You've gotta, it's a different strategy of course, but you've gotta set priorities for yourself. So what you live on, if you live on rushing yards, if you live on touchdowns, if you live on passing yard, then you've got to make a move. What I like to do in any fantasy league, no matter, is I like to go high on running backs, because running backs at the end of the day and wide receivers are what are going to win you games and lose you games. With the quarterbacks, you don't see a lot of differences between Tom Brady's good performances and Joe Flacco's average performances, but there's a big difference between guys like Lamar Miller, who you might find late in the draft, compared to top running backs in the league like Devonta Freeman. So no matter really, my draft strategy stays the same. It's slight here and there, but you've got to set priorities first, and my priorities are obviously halfback and wide receiver.
And which rookie offensive players do you feel are going to make the biggest difference for fantasy football this year?
I'm going to start with Ezekiel Elliott, in my opinion. He's going to get the most carries on this Cowboys team out of pretty much any rookie running back that's going to get carried. They're going to be a rushing team, and when the Cowboys team was last good, they had DeMarco Murray with Tony Romo, and so if the Cowboys are going to try to replicate their success, they're going to try to give the ball to Ezekiel Elliott. Another guy too, Derrick Henry. DeMarco Murray's had a history of injuries, and this Titans team is going to be run. So if DeMarco Murray goes down or he has issues, we could see a lot of Derrick Henry, and especially with his speed and his talent and his weight. I'm sure he could truck over guys, and I'm sure he's going to get a lot of yards and touchdowns, especially at the goal line.
All right, thank you. And Kyle, what do you think? How do you draft your quarterbacks? Like, what round do you think you draft? Like, what's the biggest difference between a top tier Russell Wilson to a maybe second tier Matt Ryan?
Well, I think no matter what, you got to get a good quarterback. If you don't get your good quarterback, you're going to be losing games no matter what. I think if when your options are presented to you in your first round, if you don't have any good options, and you should just pick up that Russell Wilson, that Cam Newton, that Tom Brady. But if you're in like later rounds, the second, third round, I think you should take that Matt Ryan, because he can help you out if you already have a good offensive superstar in like a wide receiver or a halfback.
For me, the thing is though, the main difference between the quarterbacks is consistency. If you draft a guy like Tom Brady, you're going to get a solid points every week. If you draft a guy like Matt Ryan, you're going to have some weeks where he puts up Tom Brady numbers, and you're going to have some weeks where he doesn't. You're just going to live up with it. In my opinion, I'd rather have a running back or wide receiver that are consistent and that will actually win you games. Compared to quarterbacks that are so here and there. So yeah.
All right, and Jack, when do you draft your defenses? Like, what's the difference between the Cardinals, a Panthers defense compared to you might draft in that round earlier, or a Seahawks defense, or a second tier, third tier defense like maybe the Bills, the Falcons, teams like that?
It's important to get a good defense, but you have to look for what defense you want. You don't want to have just solid defenses that do the little things here and there. A team like Arizona is very good because they have a great pass rush and they get a lot of interceptions, and that's what you want in fantasy, sacks and interceptions. But another thing to look at too is you don't want to go too high on defenses. Most successful defenses actually found throughout the year are on the free agency wire during the year that that end up getting a lot of sacks, emerging pass rusher on their team, emerging cornerback, emerging safety that are forcing a lot of fumbles. So you want to make sure you get a good defense that gets turnovers, because turnovers is a big thing. But another thing too, you don't want to go too high, because at the same time, if you pick the waiver wire right, you're going to find a defense that's going to get the job done for you.
And now, Kyle, with your flex position, do you prefer to go with the running back or the receiver?
I think it depends on what your options are. If you got a great running back or a great wide receiver, you pick one of the two. But in general, I'd say you have to go with the wide receiver. They're usually going to get more yards for you, more times they touch the ball. So I think you have to go for the wide receiver, and they get more touchdowns.
All right, and now last question before we wrap it up. Jack, where would you think Tom Brady, even though he's missing the 4 games, where would you select him in your draft?
This is a tough decision. It depends on what strategy your team wants to take. If you're willing to get a good backup later in the draft that can help you bridge over those 4 weeks, I think you can be fine. And I would not be afraid to pick Tom Brady maybe 3rd or 4th round actually, because he's the best fantasy football quarterback out there. He's the most consistent. He throws the most yards, touchdowns. This Patriots team rarely runs the ball, so you know he's going to throw the ball. You know he's going to be out there. So I mean, you might be able to sacrifice 4 weeks, but if your backup quarterback can bridge over 4 weeks and you can make the playoffs, you'll be glad you drafted Tom Brady early in the draft.
All right, and Kai, where would you draft him?
I agree with Jack over there with if you can get the good backup to bridge you over those 4 weeks when he's going to be suspended. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Jack, you're right.
And one more point before we close too. Tom Brady was originally suspended last year too. The same thing happened, and a lot of people got stooged out because Tom Brady was there in the 10th round in most leagues and got picked. And there's still not a ruling that he's not completely out of suspension yet, because there's a rumor that the NFLPA might carry this to Supreme Court, even though Tom Brady announced he's not. So we'll see. He probably won't stay suspended, but anyway, he's going to be a good guy to draft.
All right, well, thank you for tuning in. For our partners, Jack Hunter and Kai Merritt, this is Will Benton, Fantasy Football Now.